Hello again, everybody. So, what's going to go on today? You saw the thumbnail of the video, right? So, we've been looking at ICE, trying to create our tabbed document example application, which is what I consider the minimum sort of requirements for a productivity style app where you can have multiple documents open, you've got tabs and you've got some shared state and all this kind of thing, right? And we've been using Iced, and well, I've not really been enjoying the experience that much, as I noted in the end of the last stream. So yesterday I said I was going to have a quick look at NWG, which is the native Windows GUI, which is another Rust crate. Let's quickly look at that. Here we are. This was the crate. This one. Here we go. And it lets you create applications in Windows. So, fine. So, yesterday, I went through the dependency graph on the GitHub thing to see what other apps are out there that use NWG. And it turns out there's quite a lot. However, most of them are very small, sort of single window toy apps, which seems to be the case for pretty much everything that I found written in Rust these days. There's a couple of example apps which are widely used, such as Rust Desk, for instance. Right. And there's a client for this thing, and here's what the client looks like. Not this bit, not that bit. But basically, it's very simple. It just has some buttons on the top. Yeah. And then there's like other apps, such as Elf Explorer, this one, for instance. And there's some screenshots on some of these, and it looks like this. And I'm like, all right then, let's have a look at it. So I did. I had a look at it, and this is what I came up with thus far. After about a couple of hours of tinkering, maybe 3 hours. I struggled with it. Why are we not surprised? The fact that I struggled at it. There's two ways you can create NWG apps. One is using the derive macros, using the NWG derive crate, and the other is by doing it manually. If you use the derive crate, what it means is you've got no... I'll show you one. So here's an app that's not using the derive, and then here's the same thing using the derive. Right, so it's got this structure which defines all the controls and so on. But the problem is, as with all things that use macros, there's no completion and no discovery, no discoverability with this kind of thing. So, for instance, you want to know what the other flags are that you can add to a window. Hell no, no discovery for that. So I don't like the macro side of things. And it's it's the same with what other events can I do and so on. It's just like it's very opaque. So I tried doing it the normal way, where you use the builder pattern instead, right? Which is what the macro probably does underneath the hood, right? So here you've got some discoverability, for instance. So I could go. And then look, I've got some discoverability, which is the kind of thing we're after, right? Which is good. So you've got better discoverability. So then I'm like, okay, all right, let's try creating a UI. This is what we ended up with. So we've got a main, and you do the basic things. And then you go build UI, and then you run your dispatch events, and then you destroy the UI, and then you're done. Importantly, this actually gets printed out unlike other frameworks where the control is never returned to main in most situations unless it fails to initialize or something like that. So the build UI is what we're interested in, right? So you look at build UI, and the way that you build a UI is you create a window. But what you get when you're doing build UI is a self, which is the app UI, right? And the app UI needs to have an inner of the app, and the app is what has the things that you want to initialize. And then on your app UI, you derive deref so that it returns the inner. Fine, right? So we go build, and the idea is that you call a builder, and then the last thing that you do with every one of the builder is you provide a mutable reference to the thing that needs to hold the data for which you're building. So the builder creates like its properties, and then it initializes a thing inside your structure, right? So they all work the same way. Right. Fine, you say? Fine. Yeah. So then we're into like layout. So I wanted to create a toolbar, right? And I want to have the toolbar, and let's just quickly look at the iced example for a moment, right? What's important to note here is that all these buttons on these toolbars are sized so that they don't, so that they're not too big, and they're all independently sized, and that size is based on the text that's in the button. And it's the same with the Cushy example that we had, and it's also the same with Phloem. Right, but in NWG, no. There is apparently no way to have a button make its size dynamic. There's a where is it? I'm trying to find it. I noted this down yesterday. I didn't put a link to it. Hold on a second. So native GUI. This one. Let's see if I can find it, because there was an issue regarding this on like the third page or something. This one. Yeah. So it turns out, as far as I can see, and I went through about 50 NWG apps from the list of dependents, it turns out that no NWG app that I've found yet has a toolbar where the buttons are sized dynamically. So the alternatives to this are not good. You could create what's called a flex box. I believe it's called a flex box. So you've got layouts. You can either use a grid layout or a flex box layout. Right. So a flex box layout, what it means is you can add the button to the flex box layout, and then once you've added all the buttons to the flex box layout, it resizes all of the children that you added to it. But with that, you still can't say just make each button as big as it needs to be. So you can have a toolbar with all the buttons on it that resize dynamically, but they're all sort of proportional to each other, and it's the same with the grid as well. So it's no good. So you can't lay out your elements very well. So I can't create a toolbar with non-fixed size things, which I decided was rubbish. So I mean, let's look at it. So what you end up with is this, where you've got all the buttons that are all the same size. But this is no good, it's no good. The primary reason that it's no good is that if you want to, well, there's two primary reasons. One, it's a faff because you have to manually set a size on everything and then manually set a position on all the other ones relative to the sizes on the previous elements that you've created. And two, if you want to make it support internationalization, you don't know whether the size you've picked for the button, that the content is going to fit in it. Because in the translation file, it might be different from one language to the next. So there is no value that you can pick that is going to be correct for all languages that you want to support. So it's pretty rubbish if you want to support internationalization. And I added a tab to it, and I added a status bar. And at that point, I'd spent enough time on it and decided it was rubbish and gave up. And went to bed. No. Other reasons that I didn't like it was because I don't really want to have to write native apps, one for each platform that I'm supporting. I wanted to have a look at NWG just to see what it's like to create native apps. I never liked the idea of wanting to create native apps. Even if you've got a shared core, creating multiple native apps is a lot of overhead. And it also duplicates all the testing overhead, and it also means you have to have one each of those target platforms and run it on it and make sure it works. And I don't want to have 3 machines on my development box, and I don't want to be in the situation where I need to run virtual machines and all the rest of it to do it. No, it's not a good idea. No. Yeah. I really don't like the way as well that when you're building elements, right, so you build a frame and then you build a button, but the parent of the button needs to be the frame, and then, yeah, it's kind of weird. You don't get a frame and then say add button to it. There's no, the UI is clunky like that. So yeah, you create a frame like this, but it has no knowledge of the things that are in it. You have to use this parent thing all the time. Yeah, so it's not nice like that at all. The API is not very nice. Additionally, it's a very old API. Win32 is very old, so I don't really like that either. Yeah, if you want to create like a little mini app that sits in the sys tray and does some random little stuff, then NWG will probably do the job if you just want a Windows only thing. But if you're creating serious productivity apps, like I'm going to try and do, then I don't think it's a good solution. So yeah, bye. That's that one. So I wrote down some things, and yeah, it wasn't good. Pain points, yeah. So it's not ideal. Okay, so back to Iced. We got so far with Iced, and there are a couple of things that I like about the architecture, and there's a lot I don't like about the API. I went over what I don't like about it in the other streams. One of the positive thoughts I had, though, is that the architecture would allow some level of testing. I hadn't tried to create any tests in it, but technically, if you've got... where's my Iced? Here he is. If you've got, like, I don't know, some tabs or whatever, and they've got like a view method on it, right? You can call the view thing, and if you've got the update method on it, then you can repeatedly call the update with some messages and then assert that the state of it is okay. You can repeatedly call this from a test. So that is sort of okay. At least it might be possible to write some tests in it. But yeah, there's much I don't like about it though. So, given that, I thought, well, I don't really like Iced. I don't really want to write my app in it. If I have to, I might, but I don't really like it. Ideally, you want to like all the technologies that you're using to make yourself a happy developer. And as is probably apparent, over the last 2 months of looking at Rust GUIs, I've not been a happy developer, and that's putting it mildly. I've been decidedly unhappy. So I thought, okay, well, we started looking at Cushy, right? A while back ago. We did some streams on this. I think we did 3 streams. And we got to this point where let me bring up the. We got to a point where we were blocked by the lack of a context system. So where I was struggling is where you have like the home tab, and it needs to update its config when you press the button, and it also needs to take the config. I wanted to create an API for the traits, for the tabs, that were the same for every tab. But the problem is every tab needs different data to work with. So the home tab, for instance, needs config, and the document tab is going to need, say, a document, right? So there's no trait that you can have which works for everything, unless you don't pass in anything extra using that trait, and then use some global context system to get the state. And I did that, and I implemented a global context thing. So the idea here is that you call provide context, and you give it a type of T, and it stores it magically. And then wherever you are inside your application, you can call context, and you can give it. You can call with context, and you pass it a closure, and then when you call this with context, you specify the type of thing that you want back. And if one exists in that context that you passed with provide context, then you'll get it, and it will run the closure, and then it will return the result. And this is fine, right? Other GUI frameworks have a similar kind of context system. So Freya, for instance, it has this it has context systems which are very similar to this. And then I said, author of Cushy, what do you think about this? And he came back and said no. He came back and said, no, it's not a good idea. The interface for the tabs should take whatever they need to do their job. So I'm like, okay, fine. So this morning, I had a quick go at thinking about that. And the idea is that you still have a tab trait, and it's got make content, but instead of it not having any context, and you use a global context to get what you need, you pass in a context. That way, each tab can access the context, and it's in the API. Right? I don't yet know whether the author of Cushy is going to like this idea, but he might like it more than what we had previously. So let's have a quick look at how this works now, right? So the idea is that when you start the app, you create a config, which is a dynamic thing, which you can call for each on and have it do things every time it changes, right? And then we create a context, and we provide the config to it, right? Fine. So then in app state, we store this dynamic config, and we also store a arc mutex to the context. And then when we call the tab bar and call make widget on it, the callback that is used to make the content area for the tab can now be passed the context. Right, so we pass the context. And then the tab make context can be called. And then in our app tabs, we go, if you're making the content for the home tab, then you can pass in the context to a method, which is what creates the user interface. So the way that it works is it goes, give me the config from the context, and then you can lock it, and then you can create new dynamic things that use the config. And then on that new dynamic thing, which is the show on startup checkbox, you can say every time this is changed, run this closure, which can then get the config, lock the config, which is a dynamic still, and then update the config. So, does it work? It appears to work. So if we go home, we've got this show on startup. And at the bottom down here, it says updating config, which is this. So then it's saved this in the config, and this belongs to the config structure. This value belongs to the config structure, right? So if we open another home tab, because at the moment this allows us to create multiple tabs, right? We've got two home tabs and they've both got the same value here, which is configured by the config, right? And if I change this one, when I go back into this one, it's also unchecked because it's a dynamic and it got updated. And if I check it in this one and then look at it in this one, it's also now checked in the other one, which is good. And they are definitely using, there are definitely multiple instances of the home tab. And you can create more of them and the new ones will still have the same value. Right, but does it actually work and save the config? So if we say don't show on startup, close the app and restart it, we don't expect the home tab to appear, and sure enough it doesn't appear. And if we create it, tick it, close it, restart the app, and now the home tab is displayed. So this system does appear to work. So given that we've got a workable solution and that the author of the framework might like it because the trait has got the thing in it that it needs, we'll continue a bit more and see how far we get with Cushy. All right, so what are we trying to build? We're trying to build all this, but we need to untick all these. These are the requirements, and then these are the ones that we've met thus far. Replace all. There we go. Yeah. So we'll amend that. Right. So we're trying to create a window with native close, minimize, maximize control buttons. Do we have that? Not quite, because it's not currently resizable properly. So I'm not quite sure what we need to do there. Let's see if we can fix that, and then we'll just go through this and see what we get. So we need to fix it and make it resizable. So I guess we've got that, but we don't have this one yet. So we'll try and do that. It's been a while since I looked at Cushy because we've been doing ice for so long, so I've forgotten all the things that we did in here already. So this has got a dimension range, right? And there was a bug in Cushy where it shouldn't have a resize mouse pointer if it's a fixed size window. So let's give it a range. Let's say 800 and 600 to, I don't know. I mean, I don't really care what the maximum size is. I don't really know. What can we do then? I just want to set a minimum size, really. Dimension range. Oh, look, so you can go. Oh, you can specify a minimum. Okay, we'll try that. Dimension range. I guess it's this. How do I call this method? I want to call this dimension range minimum. Where's? Hold on. So this is, oh, it's in styles. Wrong one. Let's try that again. It's that one. There we go. So minimum wants. How does that work? Oh. So we've got a range full, inclusive. Maybe we need a range from instead of that. Okay. Let's see if we can go range from. How do we create a range from? I don't know this API. So you go range from a from. Should we be? Is it like that? Oh. So not that then. Maybe we don't need to. Maybe we don't need to do it. Maybe we can. Oh, maybe we just do this. There we go. Is it like that? No. Oh, it might be. Okay, can we resize it? Yes. Can we make it too small? No. When we resize it, what happens? Well, it's not resizing, is it? So I guess we need to fix that. Why doesn't it resize? Why? Okay, I'm a little bit weirded out right now. Do any of the other ones resize or not? Are we missing something? I mean, that one does something. So, yeah. Do we need to... What do we need to do? Into window. Let's see if this is cool with any other examples. Right, so this one does. I suppose we can go probably do that. Not that it's going to fix the current thing that we're trying to fix, but okay, it's got a title now, but no this bit doesn't resize. Is the problem with the Is it the problem with the tab bar? Let's see. Tab widget. Let me go make widget. How do other things get resized? I mean, there's a container. Oh, look, there's a fit thing. Okay, we're not using that, so maybe we need to do that. So if we say tab bar let's have a look. Dot fit horizontally. Let's try that. Does it work? No. We've got the a stack. Maybe this. Maybe we need to have it somewhere else. Should it be, are we? Maybe we need another one here. Oh wait, this one is supposed to be fit vertically. Because this thing isn't the tab bar that we're styling here. This is the content area. How about now? No. How about this one? Yeah. No. What are we missing here? Hold on, maybe it's not this one, but we've got an expand. Isn't the purpose of an expand to always resize to fit the container? A widget that expands its child widget to fit the fill the parent. Well, that didn't do it. That didn't do it. So what am I missing here? Yeah. What are we missing? What are we missing? This one's got a fit. So why? What are we not doing that is done for us automatically? Because we're creating a window manually, right? Is it something to do with the fact that we're creating the window manually, right? Because we're going into window. Should these be here? And then Don't know. Let's try ordering it like that. Oops, wrong one. Okay, so width exists, but its trait values are not satisfied. Why? Let's just leave these off for the moment. Okay, so that works like that. And then let's take those off and see what happens. So why doesn't this compile? So we've got into window. Let's put this back up here. And then it doesn't do it. And then let's take this off, put that back on there. No. So how? Why does specifying the width cause it not to work? What about if you reorder these? Ah. Well, that's non-obvious, is it? Like what? Yeah, I don't like that. What does width do then? It gives you a resize. Yeah, it's kind of odd. Like, if you take those and put them there, it doesn't work. And if you take those and put them there, it does work. It's very non-obvious, which means reviewing pull requests in future will be difficult. Okay. So, fine, we made progress. Let's do a commit. So I guess we can tick this now. Okay, so what did we do here? We... I don't know why it's... Why has it added that? That's fine. What did we do? We specified, we changed, made the window resizable and added a title, I suppose. Made the window resizable and added a title. I suppose let's just do it like that, because that's better. Yeah, okay. So, hi Sharma. What are my thoughts on the Go language? I've never written anything in Go. So I have no thoughts on it whatsoever. It's a Google sort of proprietary language, though, I believe, isn't it? I don't really want to be using Go. I think Rust probably fits this project better. So, yeah. And the reason I say Rust probably fits this project better is because we want to do lots of low-level machine operation code as well as some high-level UIs. So, I mean, we're having problems creating UIs, but we can do it. It's just not very nice at the moment. I don't know whether Go is very suitable for doing low-level embedded stuff. Yeah. Okay, so what's next? What's next? Let's have a look. So we've got a home button, which opens a tab. It does that. Okay. Right, we have that. Right, we've got a home tab. But the problem is we can create multiple home tabs, which is no bueno. So we're not fulfilling this. So let's fix it so that it works. Right, so we've got this add home tab thing, which locks, it currently does this. It goes tab bar lock and then add tab. But really what it needs to do is it needs to say, if you've got one of these tabs, then give it me. So let's have a look. So in the iced example, let's go back to that. We implemented that in iced. In iced, we went show home, and it basically got an iterator on the tabs and then looked at it to see what type it was, and then if it found one, then you get the key and the kind. We want the same kind of thing here. So we need an iterator on the tabs. So let's just grab this bit of code and make it work over here. Okay. Let's say tab bar guard is tab bar lock, because we need to use tab bar multiple times. And I suppose this needs to be mutable. Right. So let's paste that bit of code that we had. So now we've got tab bar guard, and we want to have an iterator on that. So which needs to give us a key and a value. Right. So we need to implement iter. Well, I don't know why it's done it there. Hold on. So this is a tab bar guard. So this tab bar, this thing needs the iterator. Bun iter, and it's going to give us back an iterator of something, which is going to be. And we're just going to put this like this to start with, and it's going to be self dot, I don't know. Oh, well, we need to take self. I know we've got these tabs, which is a dynamic. Oh dear. Which is already presenting us a problem. Because what we really want to do is just return the slot map iterator, but we can't do that because it's contained within a dynamic. And therefore, we're not going to be able to return this iterator, I don't think. We might be able to, but you know, let's try it. This iter returns this. So this needs to be tab key and then TK, because we're generic over the tab kind. I don't think this is going to work, but right, so the home tab doesn't contain anything yet, so let's leave it like that for now. Right. And this is where the problem is, because when you do lock, you get a temporary value. It says use collector. I'm not entirely sure whether that's what other options have we got? A reader. I don't know what a reader is. What is a reader? A reader of dynamic T that tracks the last generation accessed. Is there an example of dynamic reader anywhere? There is some stuff here. What does it say? Into value for possibly constant or dynamic values. Oh, well, that doesn't render properly, does it? I don't know. Let's fiddle about with it and have a look. Let's see what the method signature is here. Create reader. What is this returning? It returns a dynamic reader. And then what can you do with that? I mean, what happens here? Yeah, you can't get it because this get requires the type is clonable, which is we don't want to do. Yeah, so not that. We don't want to clone it. What can we do here? Can we create an iterator which locks the slot map every single time it's called? I don't know. I don't know about this. What does linked do? I mean, there's map each, but yeah, that gives you dynamic back. there's a value. What does this let you do? Yeah, can't move this from that. Yeah. No. How can we have an iterator over the dynamic things? I'm guessing we probably need to use some generational thing and then use one of those somehow. It's clearly not this. What does this do? That gives you a generation, right? And then with a generation you can go what? And then what can you do with this? You can just keep doing this. Oh, there's an iterator on a generation. Really? What does next do? Don't think it's that. What does interValue do on a generation? Returns this type as a value. Okay. I don't know what a value is. I mean, what is this going to do? Don't know. I don't know how to use this API. What's the purpose of a generation? Individual revision of a dynamic. Honestly, I don't know. Let's look in here for iter. Why am I not surprised? Let's search the examples for iter. Just to see what we see. Am I thinking about this all wrong? No, because the tabs owns the dynamic. Does tabs need to be a dynamic? Let's see if we can answer that question. Self.tabs.iter. That's what I want to do. But tabs is a dynamic. Let's undo this. I because I don't know why it needs to be a dynamic. I don't remember. Well, we're going to find out in a moment. See, I don't think it needs to be. This thing needs to update the tabs, but it's only reading it. Yeah. So can we? I'm pretty sure we can't do that. So we're going to need some other way of doing that. Yeah. I mean, we can try adding that. I don't think this is right, but yeah. And then we got this. This is the problem that I thought we were going to get. Yeah. So this tabs thing needs to be able to exist somehow so that this callback can use it. Let's revert that change. And resume. Right, so yeah. We could pass a closure into a method and lock the tabs and then run the closure on it. But what I want is an iterator that works and gives us the tab key and the tab key value like we want. I don't know. Just seeing what we can do with these, really. Optional generation. Get. Don't know. I want an iterator on. I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Let's see if the author of this is around. It'd be nice if there was more examples of how to use this dynamic stuff, really, wouldn't it? Can we map it? Don't know. Meh. And then what? Meh dot iter. And then we get the same problem that we can't return this. Yeah, because no. So I don't think you can do that. And what's this reader? See, I'm pretty sure we just can't call this lock. Let's have a look in this dynamic reader thing. Where's this live? Let's just search this for iter. You see, there's no, it doesn't have any iteration or anything like that in it. Looking to see if there's any other iterators that you can get from a dynamic thing. Because what I want is an iterator that works on a dynamic that of a dynamic value which implements into iter or something like that. But it doesn't seem to have anything. Yeah. So we can't do that. So we're going to have to take a different approach, which is annoying. So we can't do this. So let's do it another way. Let's go tabagod dot with tabs, and then we go, we've got an iter, and we're going to do it this way around, and then we're going to go iter, and then we're going to get all this and put it here like this. And we're going to try that. So, with tabs. And it's, I don't know why it keeps putting this in the wrong place, but it's annoying. So we can't do this, but we might be able to do this. Let me keep that there for the moment. With tabs, and the idea is that you're supposed to have a function that is an fn that takes an iter which, oops, an AZ, which is this, or something, and this function returns a result. And I've probably got all my syntax all messed up. So let's take that out of there and use the where clause instead, because it might be a bit more readable. Something like that. And then I suppose we go self.tabs.lock, and then we can go tabs.iter to get an iter. Right, and then we can pass that to the function. Maybe. What? Oh. The iterator is mutable, it's true. And we need to move those. And then what's the problem here? Returning this value. Wait. Right. Why does it think that this find? Right, yeah, we do get that. We get a reference to the typo. So we can't get the tab kind out of the iterator. Can we clone tab kinds? At the moment, no. Yes, we can. These are meant to be cloned. Can we do this instead? And then we get a tab kind. What? This enum variant takes one parameter, but what? What's that error about? Oh. I'm missing a bracket. So we can do that. And then we get a tab key and a tab kind. Okay, we're on the way. So then the process was in ICE to go, well, if you've got one, activate it. If you don't have one, then create it. So we do the same thing. Right, so if you've got one, then you activate it. Otherwise, we add it. But we don't have an activate method. So we need to create one of these. And it's obviously going to create that in the wrong place. So we're going to have to do it manually. So hub fun activate. And then it needs to take what? I don't know. And a tab key. And then to activate our tabs, we've got this selected thing which we need to update. So we got active tab and we do this. So if we go self.activate and then tab key and then move that code that was doing activation into here maybe. Tab key cannot be dereferenced. Well, that's fine. Okay, so that might work. Let's see if it works. So we've got home. If we press home again, it doesn't add a new one. Happy days. If we close it and then press it, we get a home tab. But we've got a problem, because when I press close all, we've still got this displayed here. What happened there? Is the close all broken? Was that broken before this? Hold on. I didn't think that was broken. Let's stash everything. Run it again. Home, home, home. Close all. Oh yeah, it was broken before that. So we didn't break that. So we have to fix that though. Okay, so that's broken. Don't know why. So we've done that. Only allow one home tab if home activate home tab if home button is clicked. Something like that. So why is this broken then? So the tabs is broken. So when we remove something from the tab bar, we've got a close all. And this tab container, it's supposed to run this. Right. So it's setting a content area, but there's nothing that's not setting the content area to a blank thing. So let's try doing something else. Let's see. Right. If there's some tab key, else, let's see if we can make this happen. Right. So we've got this, and if we press close all, does it say to do? It does. So that's the situation that we're in. So we need to do something else here. We need to go content, self.content area. No. Content area dot set meh. How do we create a label here? checkboxes, image. No. Hello. This thing wants a value. Oh, do we have to go, let's say, let foo is des.makeWidget to get a widget, and then go foo here, and then maybe rename this to no tabs content, and then say no open tabs. Maybe we do this. So close all, no open tabs. There we go, we fixed it. Okay. Moving on. Display no open tabs when, well, let's just say display message when there are no open tabs. Do I care that it's this? Do I want this? I don't think we want this. Not really. I think what we want is a empty how do we create the, is it empty default? No, make with no. Didn't we use this before? Expand empty, that was it. Expand empty make widget. Let's go ensure content area, wait, tab content area is empty when no tabs are open. Let's try that. Close all, empty. That's better because I don't really care about the message. Don't need a message. Okay, fine. Too much white space. Try again. Okay. So we fixed that. What time is it? I've not got long. I've only got about 20 more minutes. If I'm lucky. Okay, what's next? Let's see. We've got an open button. I don't want to do the open button yet. I don't want to do the new button yet. And I don't want to do languages yet. What I want to do is the same thing that I did with the other versions, is I want to handle the list of open documents. Right. State. I want to do this, which is where the configure's got a list of open files, and when the configure's loaded, it adds a document tab for each one. That way, I don't have to worry about the button or any file selectors and anything like that. So, in the main, where we've got this, where we call this add home tab thing, yeah, right. So in our config, we've got this open document paths. So we're gonna deal with that. So we're gonna go well. We're gonna lock the config here. And then I suppose we need to put this in a block so that it's released. That way we don't need to do this multiple times. Config guard. Because we don't want this guard to live as long as the application. It needs to be released before we run the application, right? Yeah. So then we can go for document to open. I don't know. Let's say path in open document paths. And then we can go open document path. Right? Something like that. So we've got to make this, make that. Let's put it here. Open document. I mean, what are we doing here? I think we probably need to go self.open document. I mean, do we? No. App. Do we have an app? We don't have an app. Who owns the documents? App state. Do we go app state open document? Should this thing, yeah, I don't know. It just feels like having this floating around here is not really what we want. Import app state. Pub fun open document takes, I don't know, mutable self, probably. And then does something. Let's move this inside here as well, because I don't think it should be sat there by itself. And I don't think we should be passing that in. I think we should just be going self.tab bar and then that, basically. Yeah, oh, this is going to be a problem. Because here we don't have self. Make toolbar. How are you supposed to structure all the state and all the methods and all the rest of it? So when you're making a toolbar, the only thing you've got is the tab bar. We're going to have the same problem when we do the open button then, aren't we? We're not going to have a self here. Oh, it'd be nice if there were some examples that weren't just like noddy little examples. Okay, let's undo that. So when we want to open document, well, it's a bit of a mess, isn't it? I don't know. We can pass it this. It just feels wrong to be doing this. But we'll try it. Then what we've got to do is create a document. But the problem is we don't have the documents anywhere yet. We don't even have the concept of a document. And we need that. So let's say documents. And we're going to make this a slot map of document kind. Right, but we don't have this. Mod documents. Right. And in our iced example, we have the same type of thing, right? Document kind. And we're just going to do the text document for now. And this was defined as something that's got a path. We'll deal with this state later. Right, so we've got the concept of documents. Fine. If we want to store these in a slot map, we really kind of want our own key. So we can use the slot map key type thing as before. Thus, which means we can go, oh, I've lost my file. Oh, I'm in the wrong, I pressed Alt Tab, that's why. Document key. So we've got a slot map of documents. Now, should this be a dynamic? Probably, because it seems to be the way in Cushy that everything's a dynamic. Okay, so we've got some documents, fine. Where do we get to now? So, yeah. We can clone this list, that's fine. It's just a list of paths. Yeah. And we can call open document, but we need to give this open document the place to store the new documents. So let's do that. Right, something like that. This is already starting to be horrible. But whatever. So now we can create a document, add it to the documents, and then create a tab and add it to the tab bar. Okay. I said I don't want to do that open button yet, but I'm going to because of this problem. So we're gonna do it. I'm going to take that off for now. Wait a second. Yeah. So we want to go. I'm just going to force the path. I'm going to hard code the path because I don't want to deal with file selectors just yet. So we're going to go open document and then documents, tab bar, and a path. And we're going to say let path is what? Path bar from examples, tab document UI, assets, and then we're going to say text file 1. Fine. We don't have documents yet, so we can go documents.client, but we don't have documents. Documents doesn't exist in Make toolbar. Can we not? We've got sort of like a catch-22 situation going on here, because really I want to pass the app state to the toolbar instead of passing the app thing. But the toolbar can we put this underneath here? Can we pass it app state instead? Let's try that. And then we can go appstate.tabbar.client, right? I don't know whether this is going to work, but and that means, oops, that this one can now pass the documents to it. Maybe open document, but this is supposed to be it's not a reference to a dynamic, it's an actual dynamic. Add home. Now we can get rid of this. Tab bar, add home tab. It currently wants that, but it doesn't need a reference there. Let's see if that compiles. Yeah, okay, fine. I missed that one. Make toolbar. Mutable reference. We can take a mutable reference to it. Yes, it's fine. Don't think we need to. Now I suppose we go appstate.documents here. I think we need to clone this and clone that and clone that. And then we can't move this because why? Which does not implement copy. So we're going to use a reference again. Which might be okay. Yeah. So if we pass a reference to this and a reference to that and then make this take references again. Arguments to the function are incorrect, so yeah. And then we're going to use references here. And then it compiles. So yeah. Right. So let's just see what happens now. Crash. Panic because deadlock. Well, running out of time for today. Great. So we locked something, and then we did something else, and then it's already locked, and we're doomed. Why might that be? What is deadlocked? It's trying to lock the config again, but oh, I see. Right, okay. Well, it might not be too bad then. So okay, fine. So when I did that, I forgot that we need to pass that into there. So let's not do that. Let's lock it here, because we need to look at it and then throw it away. Let's just go appstate.config.lock, and then we get it and then throw away the lock. Fine. And then we do the same thing here, I suppose, because we need to get the config, copy the list of paths out of it, and then do other stuff. Config.lock. Fine. Okay, compiles. Might run now. Okay, it runs. Okay, so if we go open, it says open document, we've got the path. Yeah, okay. So we can call our method. So I think, because I'm running out of time today, we're going to pick this up on Monday. Because I've got a wedding to go to this weekend. It's not my wedding, but I've got a wedding to go to this weekend. So, you know, and I need to get my stuff ready. So we're going to leave that there. But let's do a commit first. Let's just say work in progress, open documents. Yeah. Commit that. And we're going to push that up. Yeah. All right. So that's going to have to do for today. So we'll continue with Cushy a bit more and see how it pans out. I'm not sure whether I like the whole reactive style of programming versus the Elm architecture. I don't know. My past experience with reactive user interfaces has not been great thus far. And the ones that aren't reactive, such as MakerPad and Iced, have not been pleasant experiences to use. So I'm caught between a rock and a hard place at the moment. Yeah. Anyway, we'll carry on Monday, and we'll see where it takes us, and we'll give Cushy another chance to see if we can cajole it into doing something useful. We'll also wait for the author to respond to the message that I put in Discord regarding whether he thinks this context thing that I'm using, that I showed you at the beginning of the stream, is a viable approach. Because you might turn around and say, no, it's terrible, don't do that. In which case, Monday we might be doing something else. We'll see. So, just remember, folks, it's only software. How hard can it be? We'll find out on the next one. See ya.